Good morning, guys. Welcome to this class. I'm so happy you've joined me so we can continue together the journey into the discovery of new concepts of math. Some of you already learned about statistics, but today I want to explain more and bring more light, more explanation, more concepts to this concept of statistics. Well, to some experts, they believe statistics is not part of math. It doesn't have anything to do with math. But still we're learning it in math because it involves numbers, calculating, and so on. So I'm going to ask you to turn to use a book and turn to page 300. Page 300, and you'll see what there's a place where it says data collection. So statistics is basically the science of collecting the data and representing the data in a table. So what is data? Data is any piece of information. It's just information in general. I'll give you an example. If there are 7 students in a classroom, then 7 is the data that represents the amount of the students in the classroom. And if the government needs to give, for example, the masks to the population to help them stay safe from the pandemic, what does the government do? It conducts a survey and it calculates the amount of the population, and then it calculates the cost of the masks because the government needs to purchase the mask. So the amount of the population is data, and the number of the masks are data. The price of the masks is a kind of data. So data is any piece of information. Data is also the grades that you get in an exam or in a test. They are data. Your teachers take the data and put it in your report card. And your report card is a type of representation of the data. This is how you represent data. And you generally encounter tables in life that look pretty much like this. You see them on the TV. And so these are the different types of representation of data. You have a pictogram and so on. So in this lesson, I want to put an emphasis on the bar graph. The bar graph is the graph with these bars like this. Good. It's pretty much like the coordinate system with the x-axis and the y-axis. It looks pretty much the same, and it's the same concept. Good. So when you turn to page 300, and you will see that there's a collection. It says the data collection here on page 300, and then you have a collection of fruits. There are fruits here. The names of the fruits. Some of them are apples, some mangoes, apples, kiwi. So mangoes, apples, kiwi. There's a collection here, and in this collection you have a certain amount of apples, a certain amount of kiwis, a certain amount of mangoes, a certain amount of apple, mango, and guava. So now you need, this is the data. This might be an example of a woman that's selling fruit. She has all these fruits, and this is the data, the amount of fruits that she has. It's data. Now she needs to represent this. So that's the first table that we need to learn. It's called the tally chart. So you're going to make the tally chart. The tally chart. The tally chart is the basis. It's the basis. It's the one thing that's going to help you represent the data in the other. So now here you have this table here. This table is called the tally chart. In the first column, you have the name of fruits, and here you have the amount of the fruits. You need to count how many mangoes there are. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and until you will see that there are 8 mangoes. So there are 8 mangoes. You're gonna put 8 tallies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You cross out the tallies. 6, 7, 8. There are 8 mangoes. There are 8 mangoes. So you write the tallies like this. Each time you have 5 tallies, you need to cross them out. You cross the 5 tallies with the last tally. So how many kiwis do we have? There are 3 kiwis. So you will put in the kiwi row 1, 2, 3. You can check this in this diagram here, in this graph here. It's in this chart here. It's the tally chart. So basically, you're counting the amount of the fruit here, and then you put in the tallies, the small lines there. And then when you finish putting the small lines, you're gonna put the numbers there. These numbers are the same amount of the tallies. For example, there are 3 kiwis. You put 3 tallies, like I did on the board 1, 2, 3, and then you write in the frequency column. You write 3 because that's 1, 2, 3. So the frequency is 3. The frequency is how many times the kiwi or the fruit appears in this collection of data. So we're talking about page 300. Don't forget. And the collection of data is giving it the collection of fruits given here, and each fruit appears a certain amount of times, and then you're going to put those amount of times there. You have the tally chart. The tally chart is what you start with. Now, I'm going to use the tally chart, to draw the bar graph. How do you draw the bar graph? Remember, we need to draw a vertical line and a horizontal line, and then we're going to determine which of the lines is going to take the fruits. Let's take this one takes the fruits. You have mango, kiwi, apple. There's kiwi, apple, and guava. Guava. I think there are only 4 fruits. I have a fruit there, and I'm going to put here fruit names. Fruit names. I'm labeling my graph. I'm writing what this means. This means the fruit, the names of the fruit. Now here I'm going to write the number. What number? It's the number of the fruits. So I can just put normal counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can keep going, but 9 is enough for me to solve this problem. Now here I have the number, the amount of the fruits, and here I have the names of the fruits. Now let me represent the data in this tally chart on my bar graph. So what do I do? I will count how many mangoes that it says there are 8 mangoes. So I need to make sure that I have a bar. It should be a bar. There's a bar that goes from 0 to 8. So this bar represents the amount of the mangoes that I have in the collection. Now, how many apples? It says 5 apples. No, kiwi. I put kiwi in the second place. So how many kiwis? It says 3 kiwis. So for kiwis, it should reach this height. These are the kiwis. This bar represents the amount of the kiwis. So it's a visual representation. It shows the amount. By just looking at the bars, you can tell which fruits has the highest frequency or which fruit appears the most in the collection. Then apple. Apple is my third fruit. How many apples? It says 5 apples. So the apples should reach this level, the 5 level. It doesn't have to exceed 5. Apples. I will reach this line, which I drew to help me get it accurately. Now, let's continue. The last fruit is guava. How many guavas? 3. It says 4 guavas. So it's going to reach this level for guava. The 4 level, because there are 4 guavas. So this represents the guavas. That represents the guavas. Great. I have made a bar chart based on my tally chart. So it's important you understand that tally charts are important. They help you represent your data on bar charts. Thank you for watching. I would like you to pause the video and